Okay, now with the draft coming right up, it's an exciting time, and we've got two people from the Claremont Tigers that are joining us today to be our first two to come on the podcast in the studio, on camera for the first time as well. So a lot of nerves. I told you boys to make sure you were looking really pretty, and you've done that. Gilbs and Ed Allan, Sam Gilbey, Ed Allan. Boys, how are we?
Very well, good to be here.
Yeah, good.
All right, too easy. Now, boys, obviously, draft year, all the media stuff you've done. As far as everything that's coming up, pressure of everything you've got to do this year, where does the road to the draft finale in about 3 weeks' time come?
Well, I guess for me, I'm not going to be partaking in the big game, so I'm not too nervous. I'll still come along though and talk some shit, get into a few boys.
You can do the Nathan O'Driscoll hosting role.
Yeah, I can help you out with that, but yeah, I'm not too nervous for it.
Yeah, obviously pretty nervous. Been the whole year building up to it, so a lot of nerves, but feeling prepared, and yeah, we'll see how we go. All
right, now Gilbs, I want to start with you. Firstly, a bit about your path through state footy. Now, you started schoolboys under 12s, and then nothing up until last year with the under 17s, but it was a great year in the under 17s. When you miss those years of state footy, and there's those players that have been playing in each and every year, I guess, do you feel like you're falling behind from those players, or do you feel like, you were, getting less opportunities as a result of that?
I think, it's a bit of everything, I'd say. I probably wasn't big enough. I probably wasn't, my skills weren't up to scratch. So I guess it was just more of a reminder that I need to go and go away and work on some things. But yeah, like you said, being added to the 17s and 18s and playing some good footy was really good.
Yep. Now, what do you think are some things that you got from missing out on those years, or some lessons you learned from missing out on those years that you wouldn't otherwise have learned or been able to do if it was for playing state footy throughout that time?
I just think you always can get a second chance. If you don't make a team or you get cut from a team, it's not the end of the world. You can always come back next year and make the next ones. And just going away and working on a few things that I need to work on. Probably need to put a bit more size on, work on my skills a little bit, and so I went away and did that. As
far as when you do come back to that, how many of the boys from your 12s days were still there in that state squad?
Actually, quite a few. Buzz, Cleaver, Josh Draper, Jed Adams, Hags. There'll be more, but actually quite a few of us, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah, sure. Now, Ed, I couldn't actually find as much about your state footy days. It was tough to find. You look up Ed Allan and all it is just posts about you and your dad's relation. But as far as your state footy journey goes, where did state footy start for you? What years were you playing? What did you take away from your state footy?
So I never tried out early days. So I didn't try out for the 12s or 15s. I was probably always a bit skinny and small. So, also I think at footy that age, it's more about having fun with your mates more than probably taking it serious. So it's probably good to that extent that I started in the 16s, so it was a squad of 40, so I started off there. That was through the futures at Claremont, and then so I got into the 16s and then 17s last year. And then this 18s this year. So I've been pretty fortunate that we've had 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
So those last 3 years have been in the WA squad.
Yeah, and as far as, I guess, the relations you make, and we'll talk specifically about this relationship, with the boys at Claremont, the boys you played through state footy, I guess when you're younger, it's weird to have friends away from school. Most of your friends are just within school. What are the friendships like and the relationships you like, and how do they help you with your footy, going forward, the friendships you make in state and Claremont?
Yeah, there's definitely it was a really close group with the 18s this year. Probably wasn't reflected fully in our performance on field, but it was a really close group. And there was a lot of Claremont boys as well, and you're pretty much with each other nearly every day. There's a lot of great mates there. So that definitely helped on field a bit, I think, but it probably wasn't reflected too well by our performance. But especially we're going from 16s to 17s to 18s, it was a pretty similar group, and there's a lot of Claremont boys. So you make pretty good mates there.
Yeah, and the same for you, Gilbs, I guess, through 17s and 18s and even the boys you would have met at 12s. How have those relationships, I guess, affected your footy and just, I guess, your life as a whole?
Oh, yeah, I guess, for me, coming back into the program in the 17s, I already knew a few people, so it made it a lot easier. And, like Ed kind of said, we also do a lot of, team building stuff at the state program at Claremont, all that kind of stuff. So, we end up getting to know each other really well, and you get a few good mates out of it, and you get to know everyone really well, and I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah, now, Ed, I do want to talk about, obviously, your dad did play a fair few games of footy, and Hawthorn fans would be quite livid because he was about 3 games off father sons. Now, we can talk about him as much as we like. He finished playing before any of us were even born, so I'm sure none of us have seen him play. But what, I guess, relationship did your dad have with your own footy growing up?
So he's probably been my biggest role model and support in footy. He was my coach early days at Mosman Park. So, he was a big help there, but he's probably just there for feedback. And he's been good. He's never pushed playing footy on me. He just wants me to go out and have fun with my mates. So he definitely doesn't push and wants me to go out there and dominate. He's just a good support and he's there if I need him. So, I always lean on him for feedback and he's the first person I go to ask questions and use for tips. He's probably been my biggest role model.
Yep, and both of you were PSA schooling system boys. Now, I've only really learnt about the private schools through doing this. Como Secondary's quite far from being a private school, quite far from the bourgeois that you boys have. But as far as the football goes within private schools, when did you guys first start footy at your schools, Hale and Scotch, and when did you first really break into the first team and make it your own?
Yeah, it's a really good league, the PSA. Last year there was a lot of boys drafted from the system. I started playing first in year 11. We had a really good team. We've won the last 3 years, Scotch. So I managed to win 2 Alcos. We had a great team when I was in year 11 and 12. I didn't play in year 10. I was probably still a bit skinny and small. So I played in the last 2 years and I had a lot of fun there. It was probably the best fun I've had playing footy. With all my schoolmates. But it's definitely a really strong comp. Last year there was a lot of people got drafted, so it was probably one of the strongest comps there's been last year. So every game was pretty tough.
Yeah, and I guess probably started playing footy at Hale. I was in the junior school at Hale, so since about year 5, and PSA is just so much fun. Some of the best memories. But I trained with the first in year 10 when they had a super team, so didn't get a game. I think they didn't lose a game that year and they had a percentage of about 300. So, it was pretty tough to crack a gig in there. But, played 11 and 12. Came close to winning an Alco. Probably could have snuck one in there in year 11. But there was a pretty tight game up at Hale against one.
Yeah, I saw a bit of shaking the head there from Ed.
Yeah, no, not close. I don't think.
We hit the post about 3 times in the last quarter and we lost. I think we kicked probably 5 goals, 12 or something. And,
Scotch too good, I think.
Yeah, it just seems that way.
Yeah, but we came close a couple of times, but not enough.
I want to ask your opinion on something as well, completely unrelated. I don't know if you boys saw the APS in Melbourne, how it finished on a draw for the last game and it was shared. How would you boys feel about that if that happened between Scotch and Hale?
I'd be happy.
The last game to win the Alco was actually Scotch and Hale last year, and Scotch got the win. But it's a weird concept. Definitely wouldn't feel right.
Yeah,
white drawing it.
It's been drawn a couple times, but
there is joint winners because there's.
Oh, that's gross.
There's no finals.
Yeah.
Do they not do do they do percentage at all or? No. That's so gross. Now I will talk about the players that are playing there with you, Gilbs. I'll start with you. As far as players you look up to when you're young and looking at these, older blokes in the PSA or even blokes your own age like Neil Erasmus who's gone on to play AFL. I believe Mitch Georgiadis was also one of the older boys. Who were some of the players you really looked up to, learnt from, drew inspiration from, at Hale?
I guess at Hale, like you said, playing a lot with Neil. I played many years with Neil at Hale, and just seeing the way he kind of went about it last year and the way he trained and his dominance in the PSA last year was something that really motivated me. And then I guess I don't know about you, but I went to a lot of the games. A lot of the first games, as a year 7, 8, 9 student, and you see players like Mitch Georgiadis, and then there's a few boys that are playing league now at Claremont, like Anthony Davis, Max Spivey, those kind of boys that were tearing it up back then. It gets you pretty excited to play at that level when you get old enough.
Yeah, and Ed, I couldn't find as many from Scotch. I think the last one was Bailey Banfield, I'm pretty sure. But, champion team instead of a team of champions, still got the results. Who were some of the players you looked up to growing up at Scotch?
Yeah, I was going to say Bailey Banfield. My brother, I always watched both my brothers playing because they're both older than me. So when I was I would have been year 7, I was always the runner and water boy for their team. So, I was running out. Cam Green was playing, who's playing cricket for Australia. Nice. So, he was always slurping down bottles of water. He was cramping up a fair bit. So, I was running next to him, and he I think he was leading goal kicker in the league. So he was a good player as well. But yeah, people like Bailey Bamford as well, watching them run around. But yeah, it was always good fun to watch as a youngster. But yeah, we probably haven't had heaps of draft days in recent years. We've had really even teams, which is probably one of the reasons we've gone so well. We've had such even teams, but yeah, probably Bailey Bamford's the biggest one.
Yeah, when Cam got his first test call up, did you flick him a message like, "Hey Cam, just Ed here. Don't know if you remember me drinking your gear."
Nah, he wouldn't remember me. He's good mates with my brother though. Yeah. So he keeps in contact with my brother, but yeah, unfortunately I did not.
And I guess as far as the standards go and the work that actually gets put in, you hear a lot about, there's great coaching, there's great stuff and all that, but from each of your schools individually, what was the program like? What were you doing in terms of working on your footy at school?
Steve Malaxis was our coach in year 11 and 12, and he's probably one of the funnest coaches I've played under. He was pretty notorious for in his East Fremantle games for being pretty harsh back in the 90s when he coached at East Freo, but he's probably eased up a bit at school coaching year 12s. But it was pretty. The pre-season wasn't huge. A lot of the guys did pre-season like with Claremont, so I was doing pre-season with Claremont for most of the time, and then you come in and do a bit of running and stuff at Scotch. But the training was always great at Scotch. But yeah, it was more do pre-season at like your Waffle Club, and then come back in and then do a bit at school. But yeah, it was mainly the Waffle Club you're training with. Yeah,
and for you, Gilbs?
Yeah, so our coaches, Jason Norris and Brad Weir, both played AFL, and yeah, they coached the first 18 there for about over 10 years now. So they're both really good, and yeah, like Ed kind of said, a lot of the boys are doing waffle pre-seasons, whether it be at Claremont, some of the boys up at West Perth, Subi, all those kind of clubs. But yeah, like if for the boys that aren't doing waffle pre-seasons, they usually do a bit of running and train a couple times a week, and then in season, training a couple times a week and doing a few gym sessions, and yeah, that's about it.
Now, excluding each other, who would you say is the toughest player you played on in the PSO?
I played on Neil for the last game last year, and that was pretty tough. He was probably averaging 40 touches a game. We managed to get the win that day, but yeah, he probably had about 35, and I think he was on one leg as well. So yeah, that was pretty tough. He's probably the toughest. I played on Buzz as well, Jad Buzzlinger, when he was playing centre forward, and he dominated, took a few good pack marks while I was playing on him. So they were probably the toughest too.
I'd probably go Jesse Motlop. He's pretty crafty, very good small forward around goals and super quick. So yeah, I had the match up on him a couple of times when we played Aquinas, but sometimes some of the other blokes had him, which I was pretty happy for. But yeah, I had the match up on him a couple of times. He's a really good player.
Yeah. Now, Gilbs, you still do coaching. Is it with the school or is it outside of the school? You still do coaching with the school?
Yeah, I coached this year. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that been like? I guess, having to coach. What sort of hours are you putting in there? Why did you want to do coaching, and what kind of a coach are you?
One of the teachers I had kind of reached out to me before the start of the season and asked if I wanted to coach some of the year 8 boys. So yeah, like they like to bring like old boys back to coach. Ed's done some coaching at Scotch, and yeah, so I got handed the 8Bs, lads.
Yeah.
They're a really good group of boys, but yeah, mainly I just try to make them have fun, or make sure they're having fun and not taking it too serious, because just getting the message, try and enjoy it while they can, and if they win, that's a bonus. They had a few good wins this season, but yeah, like throw the magnets around a little bit.
Yeah.
Bit of a mastermind on the board, but it was good fun though.
All right, and Eddie, he mentioned you've got a bit of coaching career as well. How did that go?
I was coaching the 5-6 C's cricket.
Okay.
So it was the worst cricket team in the school.
I hope none of them are watching.
Yeah, so it was more babysitting than coaching. The boys ran amok on a Tuesday morning. So they were tough to look after. So yeah, it wasn't much coaching going on. It was more teaching them how to bowl.
Yeah.
Probably not a great coaching experience, but got a bit of cash out of it, so I was happy with it.
Oh, that's good. Did you ever just go in the net yourself and just start tonking them, or just start bowling express at them without a helmet?
No, I had a stressy in my back, so I wasn't bowling too much. I was more just throwing it down to them. But they always wanted to ask me to go and have a bat. So every now and then I'd go and just smash it straight back at them. And
Yeah, as you should teach those little
show
shits.
them his boss, yeah.
Now, as far as pre-season work goes, both of you had setbacks throughout pre-season. You had those lower back issues, as you mentioned, and Gilbey, you had glandular fever. I guess in terms of the work you can be doing, because this is probably your biggest pre-season to date, or it would have been. How limited were you to the work you were wanting to do, and what kind of work were you able to put in over the pre-season?
Yeah, I was probably the fittest I've ever been in the pre-season. I picked up my back injury in late Feb, so I'd done all of December and all of Jan pre-season. I was going pretty well in the time trials. So it was definitely really disappointing to get the injury. So it was obviously disappointing to miss out a fair chunk of the season. I was able to do most of the pre-season, but then getting the injury, it was kind of deloaded, so I kind of got rid of most of the work I'd done. So I was coming back pretty underdone. So it was definitely disappointing.
Yeah, I guess my pre-season was pretty up and down. I kind of went through patches probably since about probably December, like where I was feeling pretty good or feeling pretty average. So like some weeks I'd be able to train good, some weeks I was feeling pretty shit and wasn't able to train that well. But it kind of went through kind of waves up until the start of the season where I was feeling pretty consistently average. I was still fit and feeling all right physically, but just a bit of lingering kind of glandular fever, I guess.
Yep.
And then went and had a blood test and came back with that, and kind of just had to do nothing for about 5-6 weeks. So it was kind of pretty similar to Ed. Had to get back into it after that, do a bit of a mini pre-season before I came back to start playing footy again.
Yeah, now Gilbs, for you, fortunately, you got to play the majority of the season before having a second setback with your broken leg. Unable to perform in the national combine. How do these setbacks, I guess, affect you mentally? Because it is such a big year, and at your age, when you're a young man, these sort of things can really affect you really easily. How did they affect you mentally?
Well, I guess obviously you want to be doing everything you can in this year to kind of impress and show what you've got. I guess I haven't been able to do them, and mentally, I guess I'm just trying to be as positive as I can. Like, I can't control the things that are happening. I can't go back in time and not get sick or not break my leg. So I'm just doing everything that I can to kind of get it better and keeping positive, because I guess being negative isn't going to change anything.
Yeah, now, Ed, you copped the short end of the stick. I believe you got 6 games in this year, 5 Colts, 1 state. You did get to do the national combine, which obviously you did pretty well in. People would know by now. But as far as that setback goes, you have such limited opportunities. What kind of pressure, or did you feel any extra pressure, knowing you had so limited opportunities to impress?
Probably a bit of extra pressure going into games. I probably didn't try and focus on it too much, but it was in the back of my mind that I had to impress pretty early coming back. So that was definitely one of my goals, to come back and play consistent and play well pretty much straight away, because I didn't have much time. So it was always in the back of my mind, but when you're out there, you're not really thinking about going out there and needing to play well. You're kind of just going out there and trying to get the win. So it was in the back of the mind, but I was more just trying to go out there and have fun with my mates. So I wasn't thinking about it too much.
Yeah. Now, while you did miss, that great deal of opportunities, what kind of work were you able to put in, while you have that back issue to make sure you were as ready to go as possible when you did get those opportunities?
I was able to do off-leg stuff pretty much the whole time, or I probably missed the first 2 weeks was resting. But after that, I was able to go straight into on the bike and doing swimming. So that was my aerobic fitness stuff I was doing. And I was able to get into running fairly early as well. But match fitness is very different. So it definitely, I still wasn't able to get up to my full fitness base that I was in at pre-season, which was annoying. So I was probably coming back in still not at 100%. I was in the gym the whole time as well. I was doing Pilates twice a week. So I was able to do a lot of stuff. I was able to do a lot of gym. That probably helped me get back quicker than I would have otherwise been able to. So that definitely helped. But I probably wasn't able to come back in at my full fitness base that I wanted to be in, which was a bit annoying.
Yeah. Now, with both of you experiencing such, big setbacks in such an important year, what's a lesson or something you've taken away from that you can take into future years at hopefully an AFL level? What's something really important you learnt through the setbacks you faced this year?
I think for me, it'd probably just be a bit of patience and resilience. Like being able to bounce back from being sick, and obviously I'll have to bounce back from this leg, but yeah, and also patience, just waiting for things to kind of happen, waiting for them to get better, because you can't, I guess, like when I was sick, I couldn't really rush getting better. There was nothing I could really do to make it happen quicker, and it's kind of the same with my leg. Can't really rush it, just got to wait for it to heal. So I guess those are two pretty valuable lessons, because I guess like if you're in an AFL system, might not be playing every week. You got to be pretty patient until you get your chance. So yeah, I think they're pretty valuable.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth there. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I tried to come back. I probably, now that I think about it in hindsight, a bit too early, and I kind of not redid it, my back, but I kind of tweaked it and set myself back like another 2 weeks, like halfway through. So that was very annoying. And yeah, probably being patient and like waiting my turn and waiting for it to fully be right to go is probably would be a big learning that I would take out of it. Yeah, as you said, going into an AFL system, you need to be patient, and you might not be playing every week, so being patient to get your go is definitely a good thing to take out of the injury.
So you're telling me the 25 touches you averaged this year were with a bit of a sore back still?
Oh no, I was fine when I was playing, but I was still probably just my aerobic fitness wasn't at 100%.
Yeah. Now, as far as, I guess, something a bit more positive goes, though it still didn't have a great ending, last year's Waffle Colts grand final, getting to play at Optus Stadium. Now, the result obviously a bit shit. Gilbs, I'm pretty sure you copped a knock to the knee at some stage pretty early into the game, but going out, playing at Optus with and against such quality opposition, what's that whole experience like if, going out and just seeing this huge stadium all around you?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I actually played on Optus the week before.
Oh, jeez, brag about it.
So, it was good to go 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But, it was really good, and especially playing with all the Clement boys. Like, we had a really good group last year, and we all really got along well. So, yeah, it was just lots of banter before the game, and, to run out with the boys on Optus. We didn't get the result we wanted, obviously, but, it was super, super cool to play in that stadium that the AFL boys get to play on every week.
Yeah, I was probably I got a caught pretty early on in the game in the calf as well, so I was kind of hobbling around. So that was annoying, but and it was also a very disappointing performance. Swans were a great team last year, but we also had a great team, and it was pretty disappointing how we played. I wasn't very happy with my performance, but it was definitely good to get out there on Optus. The wind swirls around a bit on there, and it's good fun to be around and look out at the stands. And being on the ground, looking up at the stands, it's pretty confronting, but you get used to it, and it was good to have a bit of a crowd there as well. Yeah,
I was going to try and get that sorted for the Road to the Draft finale, but something else popped up, so I couldn't get it done. Bit of a stitch up. Would have been Gilb's home ground anyway. He would have come back for injury for that. But as far as playing in a grand final for footy, and at Waffle Colts level as well, they get pretty rowdy, some of the crowds that do come down. What's that pressure like of going out, the week building up to it, knowing you're in a grand final, the night before, everything you're doing, you're still at school that week, I'm pretty sure. What's that pressure like, or what's the difference like of playing in a grand final mentally compared to other games?
The Swans crowd's always pretty rowdy as well. They get a fair few supporters down. And they had a lot of boys that were pretty loud in the stand, so it was pretty funny to hear them. But in terms of the week leading up to it, we were at school, so we weren't really thinking about it too much. I was more just excited more than anything. Like being in the rooms before the game was really cool to just be walking around, knowing you're about to run onto Optus. It wasn't much nerves; it was more just excitement. But it was definitely cool to be out on the ground and you're getting yelled at by some Swans fans. It was pretty funny.
Same kind of thing. Like during the week at school, probably not thinking about it as much. You kind of just try and keep it all the same, what you've done all year. But I guess I was probably a little bit nervous the night before the game, probably a bit more nervous than I would normally be, and probably a bit more nervous on the bus when we had to get the bus from Claremont all the way into Optus with all the boys. I was pretty nervous on that. But once you got to the rooms, it was all pretty much excitement and just going through kind of game day routines and stuff, going to have a kick on the ground before the game, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it was more just excitement leading up to the bounce.
Were you giving the boys a bit of a pre-game speech about your experience from Optus the week before?
Nah, they didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, as far as Gilbs for you pre-season goes, with the West Coast Eagles, you got to do a bit there. How was that experience, going out, being alongside some pretty big boys, and how far off the pace did you feel when you were out there having a kick with those boys?
It was really good to go into the Eagles and have that experience. Meeting so many of the players that you kind of looked up to. Being an Eagles fan myself, I've watched them all growing up, and so going to meet them and have a kick with them was pretty cool. I guess we did a few training drills and stuff, and they're just really big bodies, and they pulled me out of a few drills because they didn't want me to get killed. But it was really cool. Was there anything you took away or I guess noticed in that time that you were there that you took into just footy in general? I just think just the kind of intensity, when they're training, they're on. They're not messing around. They're trying to hit every kick and make everything count. No one's going through the motions there. It's pretty serious during training, but then once it's done, you can go have a chat with them, have a laugh with them. But when it's on, it's on. Yep, and as far as state footy goes for both of you this year, getting to be with the boys, Ed, you obviously had your back issues, so you couldn't I think it was just the one game you managed, but yep. As far as still getting to be with the boys, the first state champs back in however many years, what's that like? The trainings, just the general moments you're spending alongside the boys, with the state program? It was great. I was obviously injured for a fair bit of it, so a lot of the trainings on the sidelines, just doing laps of the Optus North Oval, so that wasn't great fun. But I was doing a bit of running with Gilbs, and that was good fun. A bit of with Dan Curtin, so that was fun. But it went to get the last game, and it was great fun. It was annoying it wasn't at Optus. It was at West Perth, but it was definitely good fun to be out there. And it was my first full game of the year as well, so just being out on the ground was a lot of fun. But the pressure obviously goes up a fair bit in the state games. It's a fair bit quicker. I was playing on the wings. It's a position I've played for most of my junior career, so I probably felt a bit more comfortable there. And the boys were great as well. First game, they knew it was my first game back, so they helped me out a fair bit. It was great fun. All right, just before you do answer, Gilbs, obviously one game you played in state footy, it was the one win for WA this year. Are you saying that you were the difference in this game? Oh, I don't know. I played the one game last year and we got the win as well, so it must be the lucky charm. Yeah. And Gilbs, as far as you go with state footy, getting to be around the boys, travelling with the boys as well, how was that state footy experience for you this year? Oh, yeah, no, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, like we've kind of said all before, it's a really good group there. We all get along really well, and I really enjoyed all the trainings this year. You got some of the most skilled players kind of around WA, so the trainings are always really high standard, which I've enjoyed. I guess, when I was coming back from being sick, all the boys getting around me and, like Ed said, doing a bit of running, chasing each other around Optus North. But I really enjoyed the whole year and the whole experience with them. All right. Now, Gilbs, you've obviously got a bit of a larger sample size for this, but I want to ask about a few other players. Firstly, who was the toughest player you played on from another state? Who was, I guess, a player from another state that impressed both of you the most? I'd go either probably Allan from Vic Metro, or he's actually an underage from South Australia, Ashton Moyer. Yep. He was a really good player. I've only played the one game. Mateus Philippou kicked a really good goal. I lined up on him for a bit. He kicked a running goal from 50. Then I wasn't playing on him then. Then he ran straight next to me on the wing. So it looks like I was playing on him. So it's not a great look. But he was pretty impressive. And that goal was really impressive. So that's probably the one thing that stands out. Yep, and as far as WA goes, obviously Rube's got state MVP and had a great series. But who's someone from WA that you didn't expect to perform to that level, or someone that just really impressed you as a whole with the quality of their performances? I reckon Darcy. Yep. He's just, you look at him, he's not very tall. He's pretty lightly built, but the way he just moves, and obviously he moves pretty well. He broke the agility record at the combine, but it's just you just look at him, he gets the ball, picks it up, and he's weaving around people out of a pack, bursts out of the stoppage. It's just just repping the short kings as well, which is great. Yeah, so I reckon you could do that. Yeah, exactly. Well, I've been trying to. I've probably been learning from you. Yeah, well, I've been trying to say that. I saw baseline at the Metro game.
I was at that game and the baseline boys came up to me and I tried like I was metaphorically sucking Darcy off to them. I was like, mate, you guys have got to get onto this Darcy Jones fella. Like everyone was like, get onto this Darcy Jones fella. No offense to you boys, but just trying to make sure the short kings get lifted up. Yeah. Ed, as far as you, the WA boys, who really impressed you?
Yeah, you mentioned Ruben. He came straight back. He came straight into the 18s and impressed really early on. He was a really hard trainer. Another one, Steely Green. He came straight back into the 18 squad after not. He's picked up footy pretty quickly. He's only played for a few years. And he's done well at league level, but he came straight into the 18 squad and was a pretty big leader in the group, and was also he was good on field as well. So he was probably the biggest one that impressed. Just came straight in and impacted very well. Yeah.
Now I feel like I probably know the answer, but who was the most annoying bloke in the state program from WA?
I think we all know the answer to that.
Yeah. Oh, I reckon there's probably two.
Yeah, it's probably either Elijah or Cleves.
Yeah,
I was going to add Chuck Sauce in there as well.
Right. Yeah, no, it was definitely only Cleves that came to mind.
Yeah, Cleves is the biggest pest, but Sauce and Elijah would probably travel pretty close behind.
If there was anyone I would want to clean sweep in a game of Road to the Draft Pig, it's probably Cleves. So pretty happy I got that one done out of anyone now. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably hurt him a little bit.
Hasn't recovered yet, I don't reckon.
Yeah, and his sister's on first next year. So that's extra pressure for him to perform in the finale. Now, Gilbs, as far as the National Academy goes for you, obviously you did have your glandular fever and you did miss out on the big, National Academy game, which was a bit stiff. But as far as, the moments you still got to have with those boys, getting that call up to the National Academy, being amongst the best players in Australia, what's that whole experience like? What actually goes on within the National Academy that we wouldn't know about?
It's nothing too different. Probably wouldn't. Yeah, you'd probably expect everything, but we got to have some pretty good access when we went over to some footy clubs. Like we went to Essendon, went into Carlton, went into down to Hawthorn and saw all their facilities and got to train there. A few other, we got to go to the Nike store and get a nice little discount there, so that was pretty handy. But it was a really good experience to go over and kind of meet all the other boys from the other states, like see how they go about it a little bit, and obviously there's a lot of good players there, so and to see them play against Collingwood VFL was really good as well.
Yep. Now, as far as the National Combine goes, Gilbs, it was pretty rough for you again. Another thing you've missed out on this year. But as far as getting to go to Melbourne and again being surrounded by, about 70 other blokes who are, the best in Australia, all these reporters, all the media, all this staff, the coaching staff, the recruiters that are all there. What's it like within, the Combine area? What is the experience like being at the National Combine?
Probably a lot more boring than you think.
Yep.
A lot of sitting around. We were waking up at 4 a.m. Perth time, so we were half asleep for most of it. And you have a club interview about every 30 minutes. So
don't get fed well either.
Yeah, I do have a question about that I've been sourced.
But half the time when you're not, the first 2 days you're either doing interviews or media, and then if you're not doing that, you're just sitting around, maybe getting some uni work in. If not, just having a yarn to Shifter, who's a big legend, or just sitting around. Twitching your thumbs. So there's a lot of sitting and waiting around going, but it's definitely cool to be in the environment. Everywhere you look, there's a star player that you've seen play, and obviously all the clubs were there, and just being in Marvel Stadium in all the corporate boxes. So it was pretty cool to look around and get the free feed.
Yeah, and you see some people walking around you probably wouldn't normally see walking around, like Sam Mitchell, Jared Roughhead, a few of the Vossi.
Michael Voss.
Yeah.
A few of those, like Robbie Gray was there, Kane Lambert. So,
it's pretty weird when you see those people.
Yeah.
Ruffy was at the Vic Metro game, and I really wanted to go up to him, but I also just thought, from one, draft eye to another, maybe we just have that mutual respect of, I figured if we made eye contact, he was about 50 metres behind me upstairs.
Don't need words.
I was going to just sort of just trying to angle at him. We didn't make eye contact, but I think he knew that I was there and who I was. Now, as far as the conversations with the clubs go, what are they like? Like, are they actually interesting? I feel like there used to be a lot of really weird questions, but now I feel like they've sort of dimmed down on the really weird questions. What are the conversations like that you're having with the clubs?
Yeah, I don't reckon. Yeah, I haven't had any too out there questions. They've all been pretty straight bat. It's more just a lot of it's just kind of getting to know you, getting to know your family, like what you do outside of footy, and then obviously. Chat a fair bit about your footy as well, but yeah, like the interviews, some of them entertaining depending on who it is. Some of them are a bit more serious, but you know, like we've talked about it a fair bit. But like I'd pay money to be in one of Sauce's interviews. Like he chats them up a fair bit, how much he gets them laughing. But yeah, I reckon that'd be pretty funny for him.
Yeah, you're pretty much just repeating yourself over and over. Yeah, so you're a lot of just repeating stories and repeating information. But I didn't get too many curly ones. I actually didn't have any curly ones until my last one where I got stitched up a bit. I told my club that I didn't have any hard questions, and then they made an effort to ask me hard questions. So I got asked to do my split times for a 2K and like do the maths on the spot. Yeah, he could have done it, but I was rattled. And yeah, scrambling. And then I also got asked to tell a joke.
Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, yeah,
that's like the worst. That's the worst question you could ever be asked.
Yeah, because they asked how my friends would describe me, and I was like, probably a good sense of humour. They're like, you got a good sense of humour, tell a joke then. I'm like,
that's awful. What did you tell them?
I was like...
Did you just fumble for like 30 seconds?
You just go, nah, like, because if it doesn't come off, you just seem like a bit scared.
And it never does come off. Yeah, if you're forced to tell a joke, it never comes off.
I think they just throw questions like that just to see how you react and just to see if you get rattled or if you...
Did you get rattled?
Oh, not really. I handled it pretty well. I just played it off and said, I got nothing for you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Now, as far as one thing I do want to talk about, you mentioned it. I heard not from Hazy, one of the SA boys told me, because I was asking about Hazy collapsing during that 2K, which was awful to see. But apparently the way it's set up, you guys had breakfast, you had a really long break, and then not until 20 minutes before the 2K were you offered lunch, which obviously not many people are going to take. Yeah. What's the setup like? Like at catering especially, you made that complaint.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, all the boys were so nervous in the morning. Yeah. Like the whole 2 days, just building up to the testing. So it'd probably be easier if the testing was on the first day. But yeah, the whole 2 days was leading up to it. So a few of the WA boys just went to the cafe downstairs and didn't go to Marvel. So I don't know what the spread was like at Marvel, but couldn't have imagined it.
I went to Marvel one morning. It was pretty average.
Yeah.
Like
so
the plates are like side dishes. So you get like half a piece of toast on there and maybe a bit of scrambled eggs if you're lucky. But it was a bit the same for dinner, I guess.
We just finished our test. I was the last group to go through my testing, so it was a pretty quick turnaround for the 2K. So I didn't eat anything before, so it was definitely getting a bit lightheaded. So I could see, I could see how that would have happened. Yeah.
Now, Ed, specifically you, when you're lining up for the testing, Gilbs, I guess, I'm sure you would have wanted to be testing, but I'm sure at the same time when all the boys are there shitting their dacks, you maybe feeling a bit better about yourself.
Yeah. Laughing. Yeah. Him and Sauce laughing the whole trip.
Yeah, no, you definitely would be. When you're lining up for that testing, like, I guess it's pretty scary. Like, it's one of those moments where all eyes are on you. It's just you going. No one else is going for a lot of them. Like, what's it like when you have all those eyes on you and you're just waiting for them to say go?
Yeah, well, for the vertical and the agility, you can't look around. Some of the recruiters are just on their phones for a bit of it, so it doesn't look like it's not. Those ones aren't too bad. The 20 meters is probably the biggest one.
And those nerves really affected you clearly.
Oh no, well, I didn't get too nervous, but like you can tell that people are watching. But yeah, it probably
went quiet before he went his last one. It was just silence.
It probably helps a fair bit though, like knowing people are watching. It's like so. Yeah, I reckon it probably helps. But yeah.
How'd you play it off when you found out you topped the 20-meter sprint? Did you try play it off cool?
Oh, he's strutting around.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't going to give a celebration or anything.
Oh, you're not going to? Yeah, I'm not asking. Just go up to whoever was in second and just throw it at them.
Yeah, I didn't give anything. Okay, Elijah was bragging that he just beat me in the agility, so I told him how he went. In the 20, so yeah, but just I bragged into Elijah, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, but you can do that to him, so
yeah. Now, as far as accommodation goes, how was that? Staying in Melbourne, like how much freedom did you have to do whatever you want outside of it? How much of your day was consumed by having to do combine stuff?
Yeah, I was there. We were at the Seabull, so it was a 2-minute walk to Marvel, so it was pretty perfect location. I didn't get to do too much free time. On the second day, I was pretty knackered, so I just went to the hotel room and had a sleep because I was that tired. But I think Gilbs had to travel around the city.
Yeah, no, because I had most of my interviews on the first day, so second day I only had one interview and a little bit of media. So after I'd finished the media, I kind of made Sauce and Jet Adams went into the city and had a bit of a walk around, a bit of a gander. But yeah, like most nights, like once we left Marvel, like because we didn't eat a whole lot of dinner there, we all went out for dinner usually. went for a feed to get a bit more food in. But yeah, like they were pretty good with it all. Like once you kind of had your interviews, you're allowed to go walk around for a little bit and, you know, go get something to eat or drink. So yeah, no, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and as far as the media interviews go, are they sort of like just the same old boring questions that you're just given the same sort of straight bad answers to? And I know specifically your brother actually interviewed you for one of them while I was doing everything. He interviewed you. Was it all just the same sort of boring stuff every time the media came up to you?
I only had 2 interviews, and I had one with my brother, but so he managed to get in there with SEN. So yeah, I interviewed with him, which was hard to take serious, but but then the other 2, they were pretty straight back questions. You kind of expect the answer the questions. So but yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, pretty like they kind of said, pretty straight bat. They try for, especially I did one with rookie May. They try to spice it up a little bit, like us who are like the 3 people you wouldn't want to be with, like a desert island on and stuff like that. So
yeah, rookie me are dogs. They were asking Harry Barnett who he prefers, LJ or me. Mate, obviously he said LJ. I just had to cop that one. There's nothing I can do about that. All right, now we're a month out from the draft. You know, you look back on the year you've had and, you know, all you've done leading into this moment. How are you feeling now knowing that, you know, it's all over, it's all done, all you've got to do now is just wait for the next month?
Well, I've got exams coming up, so I'm focusing on that a fair bit, so I'm not really thinking about the draft too much. They're uni exams, but it's obviously good to get everything out of the way. I didn't have a long season in terms of playing games, but it was a long season in terms of training and rehab. But so it was definitely good to finish the 2K. It was a great feeling to knowing that I'm done, that I can't do anything more. So just sitting down and studying for uni, but I'll probably go away up to Exmouth to take my mind off it a bit. But I won't be thinking about the draft too much.
Yeah, I guess it's just a bit of a waiting game at the moment. Can't do anything to kind of change things now. Yeah, it's been, I guess for me, pretty long year. Probably one to forget in terms of not playing a whole lot of footy and being pretty sick and injured. But it's not on my mind too much. I guess probably be on my mind maybe a little bit when it comes closer. But yeah, I'll probably go away somewhere, and I've also got exams coming up, so put a bit more focus into that. But yeah, not on my mind too much at the moment.
Yep. Now it's absolutely important that we get exclusives here. Can you give us any exclusive of any clubs that seem extra keen on you?
I don't know. It's kind of hard. They don't really give you much because, like they're interviewing a lot of kids, so it's kind of hard for them to be like, oh yeah, like we want you, or like stuff like that, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think each club interviews around 60 to 70 people, so like just because you're getting an interview, they're not giving you too much. There's probably still pretty early days. They won't give you too much until it's close to the draft, I don't think.
Yeah. Now, one final thing I do want to ask before I let you go. You look back on everything you've learnt from this year. You know, there's so many lessons, and for both of you, you've had so many experiences, so many setbacks. You know, if you did your time again, or you were to go back and redo something, is there anything you would change the way you approach? Obviously, not getting sick, not getting injured, but is there anything you'd change to the way you approached the year, or anything at all you did this year? Would you add anything to pre-season? What would you change looking back?
Well, in pre-season, I think one of the reasons I got my stress fracture, it was probably a bit because I grew, but I probably overtrained a bit. I wanted to go into pre-season and train really hard and get really fit, but I might have overdone it a bit in terms of the running I was doing, which probably might have been a bit of the reason behind my stress fracture. So maybe just being a bit more smart with my training program and, probably just being more diligent in how I went about training and scheduled the program better so that I was still at my peak fitness without overdoing it. Probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I guess just probably not taking it for granted because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I guess, once I came back from being sick and I was able to string a few games together, and I thought, I was going to be like that for the end of the season and hopefully play some good footy and get, most of the second half of the season in. But, you never know what's going to happen, and I probably took it for granted a little bit that I was kind of back to normal and healthy and feeling pretty good and playing some good footy, and obviously didn't probably end the way I wanted it.
All right, well, boys, that's all I've got for you. Thank you both for coming on. Best of luck, obviously, with the draft. And, Ed, right after this, we're actually going to take each other on in a 20-metre sprint. How are you feeling about that?
I got the Birks on, but I brought the runners in the car, so I came prepared. Feeling pretty confident. I think I'll probably back myself in, I reckon.
All right.
I'll probably bet you.
You'd beat me with your broken leg?
Yeah.
Did you not see me beat Darcy in the agility? Mate, I've knocked off Darcy in the agility. I'm looking to knock off Ed in the 20 metres. I reckon if I do that, I've got to be a shoo-in to get drafted.
Yeah,
I reckon.
It's about as simple as it goes. All right, we'll get to that then, boys.
I don't want to pull a string.
No. Where?
Start from that bin.
Are you gonna run on this side?
Yeah, we'll run on this side of it.
Right. So how are you feeling before the 20 metre, Hayden?
I'm pretty confident. I've already knocked Darcy off with the agility, so this is just another training drill for me, really.
Yeah.
Hopefully Ed actually tries, because if he doesn't, he's just going to embarrass himself, but may have to wait until after the draft to release it, so clubs still pick him.
What about you, mate? How you feeling?
Oh, yeah, feeling good. Done the training, so I think I'll back myself in. I'll just get the necessary stretching before. I wouldn't want to do a string.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you do lose, you can say you're the second quickest bloke in Australia, so...
I could probably still say that anyway.
Yeah.
It'd be between me and Rowan Browning. Peter Ball.
Oh, yeah?
I played footy with his brother.
Really?
So, just at Kenwick, so I've actually learned
Lads
a thing
down
or
at
two.
Kenwick?
Yeah, just the Kenwick boys, just learned a thing or two.
Yeah.
If I played with, I was on the bench, he was on the wing. We were pretty close to each other.
Look at him go. Wow.
Yeah,
Bang.
I'm feeling fucking ready.
On your marks. Set. Go. Jeez, it was tight.
Yeah.
It was tight.
Check the footage back on that one.
Yeah, might need to run it back. I reckon that was both sub 3.
I don't know if that was sub 3, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Nah, it was probably like, I'd be happy with sub 5. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely ready to call it there. I'm pretty happy with that unless you want another.
Oh, nah. That was sufficient, I reckon.
Hey, good job, mate. You just picked me. So,
Yeah.